one of your Chicago clarinet days a few years ago. I was here at DePaul. I think it was a conference. It was kind of like a two-day event. Yes. Yeah, I remember being around the campus and you had like the lone string here and the clarinet ensemble performed. It was great.
I've also been to 2 clarinet days here. You did? Yeah, I think it's 2011, 2012, maybe it was, or somewhere around there. Yeah.
Well, we're just starting to come back. We just did our first Chicago Clarinet Ensemble concert last week, and that was the first time we've been coming in a couple of years.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just because.
They were always fun. Enjoyed coming down here for it.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys got to come.
Sure, yeah. So we are from the United States Army Band Pershing Zone. We're based in Washington, D.C. We are one of 4 premier bands in the U.S. Army. I am Staff Sergeant Chaz Sonoda. I'm originally from LA. I went to school in Chicago at DePaul and Northwestern.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Emily Kursky. I'm from Colorado, and I attended Colorado State and then DePaul.
And I'm Staff Sergeant Jason Milakovich. I originally grew up in South Carolina, and I went to school at DePaul at Northwestern. Here.
Yeah, so we love Chicago. Yes. We came to plenty of clarinet days here. It's a very familiar place. And we're really excited to hear you all and to play for you. We're going to be playing one movement, first movement from Bouffiel's D minor trio for clarinet. if that's okay.
That's okay.
Let's do Daddy Ann first. Are you guys all?
I don't want to run out of time and not have them able to play. I want to make sure we leave enough time so they can play.
Yeah, absolutely. That was beautiful, you guys. Thank you so much. I apologize. We don't have a score for this. We just have a price.
We will figure it out.
Yeah. So this is a new trio. They just start working together this semester. Yes. And then maybe each of you could introduce yourselves to the trio and just tell them your name and what your degree program is.
Hi, I'm Antonia. I play the flute. I'm in the graduate program for pedagogy, and I'm also doing the teacher licensure program.
I'm Lydia, I play the bassoon. I am also doing both the Master's in Applied Pedagogy and the Teaching Licensure program.
I'm Caitlin. I'm a music performance and psychology major, and I'm an undergrad, and I play clarinet.
Sounds so good. Only a few weeks. Is that what you're saying? 2 weeks?
No, semester.
Oh, a semester. Oh, this sounds great.
For our chamber music classes.
Really, I mean, you two, flute and clarinet, play together so well. Bassoon is such a really nice anchor. And I love that you're doing a lot of musical things that are coming across really, really, really nicely. There's a lot of really, really nice variety, and it's very engaging to listen to, really. A couple of things. I think in general, the balance is good from where I was sitting. And like I said, variety is nice, especially when we're passing around. I would like to hear a little bit more contrasted color and character from phrase to phrase. I think you can really create a different sort of scene every phrase, especially when we have, I'm sorry, flute music. But I know one that struck me when you take over from, I think it was in the second phrase. That could just be so much more tender, and everything could be, in the background could be a little bit more still. So you create something that's completely different from what we've heard before. And maybe we'll find a few spots to look at that. And another thing I'd like to hear just a little bit more is just more conscious shaping within each phrase. So the dynamics are great, the balance are great, right? That's the checklist for chamber music, right? The pitch is good, the rhythm is good, the balance is good, and you're doing dynamics, you have musical ideas, which is all excellent. Giving it a little bit more nuance, a little bit more direction. Can we go? Sorry, I'll give you. How much time do we have?
An hour. If you want to go over, we can.
I'll just do a few minutes and then we'll take turns. Sound good?
The
Otherwise, I'll
clarinet
keep
was
it.
in like around here.
Yeah, can we start actually at the very beginning? Bassoon sounds great at the beginning. That's awesome. So resonant and beautiful. Try this for when we come in. All those pickups. Beep, beep, beep. Each one a little bit more over the bar. So it's not so da da da. It's da 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 dee. And you could do it together. I think. Just try it there from the beginning. That means you know, right from the start, the phrase is going somewhere, and it's expanding with each statement. So I would think just a little bit that kind of stuff. Can we go to that part where the clarinet takes over? Is that 27?
Yeah, 27-ish, right? Or do you have pickups?
26 is what 6.
Oh, yeah, please.
Sorry.
Same.
Do you want me to
Been there.
start it?
Wait, can we
Starting
start
right on
on 26?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Or can we start pickups at 27? Yep. Okay, cool.
That's the one.
Good. Can we just take sorry, can we just do clarinet? Where is that music? If you could think of the warmest sound you could create there, as if you're like tenor or baritone singing it, it's very easy to think with the clarinet, a high register. Then think just as much warmth in the sound as you can. Just right on the bullshit. A little bit more. All the way to the guitar. Good, yeah. And so if you do more, you get a little bit more charm out of that phrase. If you lead into the positura, whatever you want to call it, I think just a little more of this kind of stuff where you're creating a little bit of a different character there. If you just make little decisions like that. I think there's one more actually. Before. Can we go to where the bassoon picks the melody and the flute? When you have the melody and then the flute joins.
Mm-hmm.
Like pickups to 161.
153 is where I started.
Ah.
Can we start right on 152? Do you have a downbeat at 152?
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Happens to be the same melody we just played.
Yeah.
Surprise. same thing at the very beginning. Each of those pickup notes needs to lead a little bit more if you were to give them numbers 1, 2, 3. So they're not the same dynamic, if that makes sense, as the one next to them. And something you could make make this extra cute, in my personal opinion, dee-dum-bum, if you clip the second note in that 2-note slur, dee-da-da, dee-dum-bum, it gives it a little bit of lightness, a little bit of charm. And otherwise it sounds, I think the issue now for me is it sounds just all very sustained. We have half notes here, and if you blah, 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 we don't quite get enough direction in the line. Does that make sense? Can we try it one more time? See if you can just make a little bit more of the pickups and a little bit more of those leaning into the appoggiatura and then coming away from them a little bit more to make it a little bit lighter. Within that phrase. I think it sounds great.
Thank you.
You guys have.
Yeah, just tying on that, of all the pairings when you're switching around who's playing the melody, do you feel like you're having to force out the sound sometimes when you have the...
Sometimes.
Yeah, that's the only time we're picking on you, obviously, but I think you both could be a little more transparent when she has this. There's one maybe 2/3 of the way through I thought you were singing out really beautifully, but maybe it wasn't coming through. Yes, I just thought maybe we could make a little bit more space. And sometimes I think about it in terms of resonance rather than strict volume, right? So, and for us, I feel like sometimes when we're playing with these beautiful resonant low instruments, brilliant flutes, we might feel a little constrained. So, like Chaz was saying, think about the warmest sound and kind of resonance reaching out with those solos instead of like trying to, I'm focusing my ear, I'm trying to play forte, right? So I think if you guys could be a little more transparent when she has the melody line, that would just help enhance the balance from what you're doing. And all the other pairings I thought were really well balanced. So yeah.
Coming on good stuff already. Not much left to me, but so in terms of this like overall just chamber music playing, the more you play together, the more music you're playing with each other. And I think it gets okay. You kind of almost want to like challenge your colleagues to do stuff that's like I want to play a little bit more here. As a clarinet player, I'm always look at the bassoon player like I want to play this really quiet. And the bassoon player looks at me, it's like, fine. So it's just kind of like testing each other, like how the extremes you can go, and then you work it out, smooth it out. So like Emily said, it's give more room for the clarinet player, so just bring it down to where even when you get to the point where she's coming out more than maybe more, and really keep pushing it, that's really is going to increase like how far you can go even as with just 3 players. It's amazing what you can do when you really just kind of annoy your friends like that.
That's what we do in our rehearsals. It's like, play this really quietly, and then you guys go, okay. And if they don't do it, then we talk about it. We're like, hey, I really want to play this quiet. But the more you can do that, the more fun it is.
And especially when you start being able to just pick it up as you're playing, and then like afterwards, like you get that echo, and you can like really go for it. But when you really truly listen to each other, then you can just do it as it's going along. Get really creative with stuff instead of just the boring. I want to play to this note, blah blah blah. It's like it gets a little more organic, I think, when you can just do it as it's going. I don't know a specific spot.
Can we go to the developments? I would like to hear the developments after where the key gets all weird. I don't know. Let me take a look at this part. It's 93, is it? I think it was. I don't know. I'll see if it's a spot I'm thinking of. Sorry for glancing over your shoulders.
Okay.
Because it felt, as when I was listening out there, it was like ba 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 ba. It was a little abrasive, especially like in the first one where it starts out the piece. It's you want to really present it like now we're here to play it and they can join in. So it's a little more Christian to lead into.
Sorry. I got swallowed.
Yeah, it's on the line, so it's not so like
Hold it there. Good. Good. Let's stop right there. Great. A couple of things. Just from where we started, flute and clarinet, it's whatever, 95, 96. Yep. Bump, 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 bump. You're playing those 3/8 notes short. Bump, 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 yeah, which is great. Ba-da-bum. When you have that slurred in the next bar in 96, I think you can really exaggerate the shape a lot more to create contrast from da-da-da. That way we see, oh well, it's changing a little bit of a different direction. Another thing, similar, I don't remember if Clarinet has this. At 102, when you go for the long idea, which I think is a great idea, I think you can sing that one out more. More sustained, more direction, probably a little bit higher dynamic level, just to create that contrast. I mean, you already have the idea, which is great, but it doesn't come across quite clearly enough unless you exaggerate it.
It's like right there, it's like it just feels a little bit more intense with the direction of there where it's going. It's like you can really just get it to where it needs to go.
Yeah, we need to exaggerate things in order for people who are standing far away to hear them. And when you do the echo, are we doing the echo in 107?
Yeah.
Play out the phrase just before, the bar just before. Da-dee-dum-ba-dum-ba. If you're already at a sort of medium dynamic level and you just drop that much, we don't experience echo. But if you sing out a lot and then you just draw back completely, then we get huge, huge, huge contrast. Can we go back to the beginning of that same section again? As long as we still have a little bit of time, we do, okay.
Then I guess we can talk about right at the beginning of development. Another example is the opposite. It's like if you want like quieter, the more intimate and quieter you get. When you want to expand, then you have a lot more room. Like I think when you start 93 or whenever you all come in, or 90, pick us to 95. I think that could be a little bit sweeter there. A little bit right here, and then when you expand a couple minutes later, then you can really bring it up more. And then as soon as it's going to kind of set it up because it forte pianos and brings it down, and then you can come down a little bit more. Then they can really just like pop themselves right on top. It's a nice little unit.
Can I say one more thing, then we can do it again? All right. I thought that everything was great. This was great. The when you do the echo, I think there's more that we can play with than just dynamic level. You can play with the length of notes, you can play with how you're shaping, how much you're shaping. In this case, I think for the echo bassoon, you can actually go shorter.
Okay.
There's a little bit, it'll create a little bit more transparency, and all of a sudden we get a little bit more of a colder, paler color than we had the batch before. Does that make sense? So you're going for more than just, okay, I dropped 2 dynamic levels. I completely changed the color of the piece right here. Can we go, sorry, I can play it. We really like this actually. You want to do the same spot?
I'm Ethan. I'm doing a second bachelor's in oboe performance. I played oboe in high school and then took a 30-year break and started up again about 5 years ago.
My name is Sarah, and I'm in the music education degree program.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a performance major as an undergrad.
Okay, and we're going to do 2 movements from a divertimento by Graham Powney.
I'll be right back up here.
So just to let you know, one of the things we've been working on a lot with this group is closing the gap between the practice room and the performance space. Like often they'll come into rehearsals, they'll come to rehearsals and say, but I practiced this in the practice room and it was so good, and then I get to rehearsal or I get to performance and I can't do it. So if you all have any tips or tricks maybe to share with them about how to close that gap or how to practice better, I think that would be really useful.
Can we just hear the opening once more time? Just run through. Oh, first movement, sorry. That's great. If you could all describe the character of this opening, maybe in like 2 or 3 words, what would you have in mind?
Playful.
Playful? That's a good one.
Light.
Light, also good.
Happy.
Happy? Okay. I could go for all those. But, you know, for me, when I'm trying to get away from thinking about the clarinet and being nervous or missing notes, or trying to convey a musical idea to the audience instead of thinking about how I'm playing the clarinet, tapping into those kinds of things is very, very valuable for me. I think, how do I want to play this phrase? What kind of color? What kind of scene? If I can create a scene, it's better. Anything you can have your mind lock onto that's not how do I make this note come out now? How do I play it in tune? The technical stuff you can have in the practice room, and you should put it on the microscope and think about it all the time. But if you go out to perform in rehearsals also, the more you can think musically, the more sort of imagination you can apply to the piece. I think the more comfortable you are with expressing it the way you want to. If that makes sense. You can't come on stage and think about what you want to do not wrong. It has to be something that you want to create. In that kind of
makes sense.
Yeah, in that kind of spirit, can we try the beginning and see if you can do a few things for me? All of the accents in order to create this playful, happy, light character. All the staccatos I think could be much shorter, especially in this room, which is very, very, very resonant. Just as short as you can, as dry as you can, and all of the accents can just stick out on one. It'll give it a little bit more humor, I think. And when you have 16th notes, try to start a little bit more firmly from the beginning of it. Okay. Yeah, even shorter. So that every note is just the smallest, most energized event that you can create on your instrument.
To maybe help aid in that, I think the quality of air and the prep you're giving, picking up, it does not quite match the character, what's going on. It seems almost a little bit lazy, which is kind of contributing to like a very lethargic opening note. Because I hear like bum bum, which is how it comes out. We go bum bum. You could add just the little prep could lead into it too.
I have no idea if this is going to work, but let's go off of my cue. And so all of you will just watch my whatever, okay? Okay, you're not ready? Hold your motion. Same thing, again, sorry, from the beginning. it's, I don't know, is it faster or?
It has a little bit more energy even. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be like, it doesn't
Try
have to
it-
be
try it
fast,
once.
You just have to have that like bite behind it.
Closer, yeah. I think that was a better cue for the character. But do it one more time so you can feel more comfortable doing it. That one was not quite as good as the first. The cue just a second ago. But it was closer. I think it's much closer. Can we try something? Can we just all play maybe 2 dynamic levels higher from the beginning? Does that sound fair? Reasonable? Especially when you have 16th notes. 2 dynamic levels higher. As brilliant as you can.
Nice. Okay, on these 16th runs too, which I was talking about, kind of prepare the entrance of the 16th. So I would even have my fingers in position on the 8th rest before you start those runs, and like the air ready to go, everything ready to go. So you feel the energy of the rest, right? I think you guys are getting much closer to that. But you don't want to wait until the run starts, right, to be prepared to play that.
And then because there's a lot of times going on where 16-note passages are being passed on to different players, and being aware of who you're taking from or who you're giving it off to can help in that. This is because when it feels like you're just late setting up 16s, it kind of like there's like a little bit of a brief hesitation between when lines are being passed off, which kind of makes it a little bit more. It's not as fluid as it should be.
Does that make sense? So as soon as that 8th finishes before the 16th, in the rest, you're prepared for the next run.
I think that first line is much more engaging for me. It's immediately grabs the attention of the listener. Can we shift to the second movement, maybe? Since I thought the second movement opening was beautiful. Really, really, really nice. Can we try just doing a little bit? I kind of imagine, since you had to share your words, for this one, just like kind of very still winter light coming through the glass, and you can sort of see the dust or something. It's a very, very pale, kind of cold, still, not too much motion. If we can, especially when you're not playing the melody because it's passing around and you have the whole note, just make it as transparent as possible so that the person who has the moving notes can just float on top of that. You play whole note, and then you play the melody, and then you play whole note again, and changing your color and the density in your sound when you shift back and forth. I think here you go. Does that make sense? You have a different voice that you use when you're singing out in the melody, and this is the general chamber music thing. We're constantly shifting roles. See if we can. I think the whole notes are okay, but sing out a little bit more when you have the. Whatever that is. That one. So only play when you have the melody from the start.
All of us?
Sorry? But yeah, all of you play only when you have the melody.
Okay.
Good, yeah, very nice. A couple of things, I think clarinet, you sound great by the way. You sound, your tone is really, really gorgeous, I can probably tell you. Start a little bit firmer. See if you can get the same attack and the same sort of size and density in the sound as the person in front of you. And lead a little bit more. Da, 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 dee. Those last three notes are leading into the next person. So if you diminuendo, you're setting them up for a very shy start. Try it one more time. Good. Yeah, can we do it with the whole notes in? Add the whole notes as transparent as you can. That sounds great to me. Really, it's like you're in those rooms where the colors are slowly shifting. You know? Good. Do you guys have anything?
Maybe a little bit later on in the movement. So when we have all these like syncopated rhythms going on, you still want to make sure you're capturing the character Chad was talking about. For me, I was personally thinking of a little more of like the middle of the evening, sort of very calm pond, but like somewhere there's no ripples going on. So you still want to keep that smoothness, even through all these syncopated. Trying to get a little bit too like dancey involved. I think it's just keep the air a little more legato through all that can help out, and not just the notes that just have legato work on it. So maybe where it starts at around D.
Or one before D.
Or one before D, whatever works for y'all. And just try to like create more like homogeneous group sound for that too.
You guys want to do 9? Start at 9.
One before you.
Yeah, so I'm hearing more of like a ba-ba-da, where I think it's gonna be like dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, and then leave that. The one actually was notated legato, kind of like lead that into beat 3 in there. Can you try that again?
It might actually help for us to slow it down first because of the rhythm.
Can we take that bar 4D a little bit slow?
So let's do it more like around 58 or something. Yeah, it's tricky to play this kind of a rhythm legato.
Yeah, it's a little bit quirkier, but I think if you take it too contrasting, it brings you out the movement, so it still needs to stay within that same context. But that's just mine.
Have you all agreed to play that one short? Or is that
totally going
have you been rehearsing it short?
No, I mean, we didn't have a,
I think we all had our own interpretation of like how it's supposed to play, but we didn't really talk about it.
Okay, that's a situation when, if we're playing and I'm like, okay, Jade is playing it really long there, and I want to play it short. We'll have a conversation about that. Whenever that comes up, and your ears pick up on something, this person's doing it differently. It's a good opportunity to have a conversation to make sure you're on the same page. I personally wouldn't mind it short, but in the bars in between it, or the bar in between it, when we have open, you have to really sing that as warmly and beautifully as possible to create contrast from so we get like little scene shifts. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Is that more comfortable for you also? If we do it short?
Well, it's a lot easier to do it
Why don't we
short,
try
but
that?
I like
Yeah.
but I like the idea of doing it more legato.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying
Yeah.
to think of ways of getting it more legato.
This is where
It's
chamber
a
music is
challenge.
fun.
Yeah, I mean, this is where we have great arguments in rehearsal.
Maybe we could try slurring it a few times and then
Sure. Slur.
see if that works. So 9 again.
Can you do me one favor? Legato is fine. The tenuto's only on that hand of 2. Is that right? Can we crescendo to there and then diminuendo
Crescendo
away
to-
from there so that we have some sort of shape? Da, dee, da, ya, ba, dee, ya, da, 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 da. Even more crescendo this time. Yeah, I think the first time was actually better. I shouldn't have said anything. But anything you can do to create contrast when you notice like, okay, this bar is very clearly a different color or character from this bar, which is very different from this bar. It's kind of our job to find out how to bring those characters out. And that's when you can have a conversation again in rehearsal. JJ and I will always disagree about how to do that. But as long as you have, you're all on the same page, you're going to create some sort of different color. For me, that's when it's most fun. Also.
Yeah, I guess this is where this leads, I guess we talk about this whole practice room to the rehearsal thing. It's okay to like come in with ideas and like have things. And then it could turn out that your idea might sound bad. And then you work it out and maybe, find a place in the middle, or like, yeah, your idea is way better. This is why you have these rehearsals to like figure it out.
Yeah. For example, when we started preparing for this trio that we played, and you guys probably prepared similarly, the first thing I did was listen to a recording and follow my partner along. And I would make note of how the player in the recording shaped things, if I liked it. If I didn't like it, I would make an opposite note. And you take it to the practice room by yourself and test those out. See, like, oh, if I make this sort of color change, this sort of dynamic change, how does that feel? Do I really think that this brings out the most in the piece? And it doesn't feel comfortable for me, obviously. And fill your music with as many of those ideas as possible. And then take it into rehearsal and test drive them and see how your colleagues feel about them. And then you can sort of hash it out and all be on the same page. But this way, once you walk on stage, if you're nervous about something, all you have to do is think about what character you want to create. And for me, if I have enough strong ideas about how I want to play the music, then the nerves and me being worried about the technical aspect of playing, that will kind of move to the side and let me just really enjoy playing with everybody and trying to communicate something to the audience. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But just have stronger, have more ideas, and don't be afraid to talk about them and play them exaggerated.
Yes. Yeah, just having a plan and like sticking with it and not letting like the spontaneity. Don't worry about that. It's like if you have exact game plan how you want to play it, then you can be more confident when you come into when you need to do it.
And practicing performing, right? It's a different kind of mindset, and it's skill that we have to build, I think. So we did a lot of run-throughs, for example, to prepare where we said, okay, no matter what happens, we cannot stop.
Yeah.
Just to practice, because it's never going to come out exactly perfect, or maybe things always happen in performance, and so the more you can sort of go through that process as a group and adapt, adjust. You guys are doing some really excellent adjusting in the moment, but that's a good skill to cultivate.
Yeah, turning the performance light on. It reminds me of Mathieu Dufour, the old CSO principal. I guess the students used to say he had like a little carpet in his apartment. He was like, when I step on this carpet, it's performance mode. Everything else is practice. We can stop, we can hash things out, whatever. But when I step in, I'm just going to practice performing. And that's, like you said, sometimes we neglect that, and then you just lose that feeling, that's the skill to do it. sound great. This is a cool piece. Thanks for sharing it with us. I think we're out of time. So,
A quick group picture with all of the
Oh, yeah.
and you guys. That'd be great.
Thank you for this. Yeah, thank you so much.
Or should we maybe in front of the stand?
oh,
Yeah.
so quick. Should we send together? Is that the
Maybe a couple more.
Oh, we could do the trio, yeah.
Oh,
Do you want to be in the middle again?
I don't know. I think you might need to. You know what? Maybe could Sarah and Caitlin come in the front? That's right. Just stand in. I mean, don't cover anybody up, but or maybe how about a couple of you kneel because it needs to get like yeah. And then Antonia, can you kneel to that? Yeah, that looks good.
Can I actually be on the other side so I don't?
Yes, you can. That looks great. And then tilt it. Yeah, angle. Beautiful. Is it too much to ask everybody to smile, you guys? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Let me get another one just because, you never know what's going to happen. Perfect, it looks good. What do you have a couple more minutes maybe to talk?
Yeah, I think we talked about our jobs a little bit. Yeah.
Whatever you want to do.
I'm sorry, I'm sure I'll do it.
Are we still going to be making this?
Yes, and remind me because Jeff said to make sure I record it. Okay, good. That's okay.
All right.
Do you guys, do you just want Q&A or do you want to tell them about your careers? How do you?
We could try, maybe very quickly, we'll just describe our job, and then if you have questions, we'll get to that as quickly as possible. So our band, the U.S. Army Band Pershing Zone, is based out of D.C. We're one of 4 premier bands in the U.S. Army. And basically, we all won national auditions for these jobs, basically right after grad school for all of us. Our sort of day-to-day work is ceremonial and concert. Those are the 2 types of performances that we have. JJ and I are in the concert band and Emily's in the ceremonial band, so we can share both perspectives with you. The concert band is very much kind of traditional. We rehearse for a few days, then we play a concert. The next week we get new music, we rehearse it, and then we play it on the weekend. So basically a concert a week. There's some off time. We're not playing every single week. But the main season for us is summertime. It's kind of happens to be the tourist season in Washington, D.C., so we do a lot of outdoor concerts. We're playing on the Capitol steps basically every Friday night throughout the summer, as well as at the World War I Memorial. And it's really great. It's a great job. We play a lot of very standard band rep. We play some patriotic pops. We play some just normal pops. We play a lot of marches. And during the rest of the year, we're playing indoor concerts throughout the DC region. So we're playing in Virginia, we're playing in Maryland, we're going to a lot of band conferences in places like Pennsylvania, or southern part of Virginia recently, Shenandoah, kind of as the headline performer for these kinds of honor band events or band conventions. So it's a lot of fun. We play all sorts of places for all sorts of audiences. And we also have some opportunities for chamber music. We can solo with the band. basically there's a lot of flexibility with our job and sort of performance situations we find ourselves in. We want to talk about the ceremonies a little bit?
That's right, yeah, and lots of variety for ceremonial band as well. Our primary duty is to play for military honor funerals. So we're right outside of Arlington Cemetery. So in my job, every weekday we'll be going out there and playing 1 or 2 funeral services. So we'll play hymns and marches on a procession at the gravesite for the families. And we'll play at a variety of ceremonies around DC, at the Pentagon, at the Tomb of the Unknowns. When a foreign dignitary will arrive to the country to meet the president or leadership, we'll play their national anthem and ours as a welcome to them, musical welcome. So yes, there's a lot of variety, and we get to perform quite often. We're performing every day really in ceremonial band, often sight reading on the job. So it's a good challenge, and we get to perform all kinds of different things.
Yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Do you guys have any questions just about our job, how we got here, Clarinet, if you want? Yes.
How was your audition process?
So the audition, it's a little bit different now than it was when we applied, but when we applied, we had to send in a tape, recorded audio files of like the first page of the Mozart Concerto, maybe 4 or 5 excerpts, I think it was standard, Beethoven 6, Scherzo, Brahms 3, and a couple of band excerpts. Some of the bands, I think, still follow this format. I think the Air Force Band and the Coast Guard Band do. And then basically they selected people to come in for a live audition. And the live audition is, I think, still the same. You show up and there are 3 rounds, just like an orchestral audition. The list is something like 15 to 20 excerpts. So you have your Mozart Concerto, that's the solo. Half of the list is band excerpts, half of the list is very standard orchestral excerpts. There's sight reading on all 3 rounds for us. It was just things like marches. And there's a little bit of duet playing at the very end. So it kind of follows the same format as an orchestral audition.
And then another part of the sight reading was like I think it was called like prepared sight reading. Basically, they give you the music before like the round, and it's a little bit longer than just say like 2 lines. It would be like, oh, here's like a whole page of music. Play it when you come on stage later. So it's kind of like the test really quick prep. That's somewhere between sight reading, but also like
Yeah, you'll see sight reading on I think all of the band auditions. So sometimes we just don't have a lot of time to rehearse, and it still needs to sound good. So.
And most of the bands have really informative websites to check out, like their repertoire, the kind of process. Yeah, you can find a lot to look up there.
Now the process is a catalog. They start off, they've done away with the tape round, and by invitation, you submit your application packet. They say, all right, show up on this date for the first round, and so it's done over 2 days. And the Pershing Zone is the only one that out of the Army, because we have 4 premier bands, that has the catalog. The West Point Band, the Field Band, and the 5 round are still on the tape round.
And when you send in your resume, you'll be given like a time slot as well. So like if you're 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11, so on, whatever happens. So you don't just like show up and you sit there for 5 hours. Because I know some of the other groups is you just show up in the morning. And
the Marine Band is like that.
Yeah, the Marine Band's like that. Where I wasn't going to say names.
Notorious.
So you get like 80 people to show up in the morning, and it's based on like when you signed in. So you could get there at like 8, and then you don't play till 3 p.m. It gets you all out of whack. So at least you can get there at a good, healthy amount of time.
And that's also so that they can assign you a practice room. So you get in there, keep your nerves down, goose from ready to go. Right?
Who hears the audition?
So usually, in like the first 2 rounds is usually just like we'll be clarinet players, principal, and some other like section leaders.
Higher ranking clarinet players.
All behind the curtain.
Right.
All behind the curtain.
Yeah, they sit out the audience. They got a big thing in front of them, and then like in the final round, we usually take the curtain down.
I think it depends. They don't do it every time now.
They've changed it that they do not want any biases whatsoever, because diversity, inclusion, those types of things are paramount amongst specifically the U.S. Army Pershing Zone, not the Army bands in general. But they have in recent auditions, because I sit in on all the auditions, right? And it's very important to them that they not know. So the panel may not even see the resume. They are going solely on what you
2.5 years for me.
Yep, a little over 3 years.
2.5 for me. Yeah.
We're pretty new.
I have a question, just out of curiosity. What is there for string players in the Army?
We have a small string orchestra in the Army band, actually. Yeah, the Army band.
Because I've only ever heard of band.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I think when you think of military band, you're like, they're up there playing the whole suite, which is what we do. But our band actually has 250 people in it, and the concert band only makes up 50 to 60 of us. And so we have a ceremonial band that Emily's a part of, we have a jazz band, we have singers, we have string players who need to do things like play at fancy dinners for important people. So there are all sorts of people.
My first oboe teacher was in the Navy band.
Oh, nice.
When you were prepping for this audition, which you won, have you been primarily prepping for like a military band audition, or was it a blend of you were taking more orchestral and band audition?
It's all mixed for us.
A little bit, yeah. And that's kind of why the reason when they pick excerpts, it's a mixture of band stuff and orchestral excerpts, like Beethoven 6 on there, Scherzo, just to kind of like help, because like everyone in school has been playing that like for years. So it isn't just like you get the list and there's like 20 things you've never seen before. And, but yeah, before, which helped out because I was taking a few orchestral auditions before I took this one. So I was like, I got the Scherzo down, I got all stuff ready to go. And then you can spend more time learning some of the more tricky band excerpts that are put in there as well. So there's like plenty of people who do both on the circuit.
Yeah. I had never taken a band audition before mine, so I was playing. I'd taken a few unsuccessful orchestral auditions before it, and it was fine. So, but as long as you spend enough time on the new excerpts, if you're thinking about auditioning, just make sure you prioritize the ones that you don't know early on in the process, and then they'll be fine.
And often it's studying those band excerpts that are more familiar, as we've been saying. So I definitely had to kind of strategize, focus on those, listen to what I read marches to practice recite reading, that kind of thing.
And it's very noticeable even listening to tapes, depending like how much like effort someone has put into some of the band excerpts as compared to the orchestral stuff, which I guess to us it means you're like a little bit more serious about it. And it sounds like you're really putting in the care that it needs to, like as much as you would with like a Beethoven or a Brahms or Shostakovich or anything like that. That's something I appreciate, and it's not just like another audition you're trying to do.
I have one question. So what are your ultimate musical goals? And do you envision yourself staying, in the service so you can retire? Without a great pension. It's a nice job.
It's tempting, yes. I don't know. I think we're all open to any opportunities that come up, but we're very happy at our jobs, and it's a great workplace. We get to play clarinet, make money playing clarinet, which is already just so much. So very happy to do that as it is.
Stability that comes with it is really nice.
And it seems like there's great camaraderie.
That's what I love about it.
Nobody else have any other questions? Is anybody here thinking about taking a military band audition?
Don't be shy. You don't have to play it for us. Just ask questions about it. We do. We have a timpani spot. Yeah.
There's a timpani spot.
For premier groups, typically they want a specialist for that for timpani. And for general percussion, it's everything else. So your principal timpanist, yes.
What's the age limit?
I believe 35 to enlist.
Be in basic training by age 35. However, they have relaxed the age limit a little bit, and they're accepting age waivers beyond that. So that's something that we have a conversation with the recruiter about, and what your chances are of going in that direction. But up to age 34, not a problem. respective age bands.
Okay.
Navy and Air Force are at 39. Believe it or not, Marines is 28. But President's Own has that caveat going up to 34. Right? And then they have a similar age waivers type thing to get up to that point. But each branch does have slightly different protocol. And then with that, there's so many different protocols. For everything from height and weight to tattoo acceptance policies and stuff like that. Each branch has a slightly different view on it. Like the Navy has a very similar tattoo policy to us, where you can have everything, like he has a sleeve going all the way down to his wristbone. I mean, this is perfect example of what is accepted going down here. Marines, however, you can't have anything larger than what you can cover with your hand. The Navy band in DC, they don't want to, even though Navy has the policy going down here, they don't want to see anything below short sleeve or for females below the knees, because there is a dress uniform that incorporates a skirt. Right? So, and policies change all the time. So keep that in mind. We're all about self-expression, but depending on where you want to go, thinking about future self and opportunities, may want to just keep it under wraps. Right? So different things like tattoo policies and piercings, just keep in mind.
Does anybody else have any questions? Well, thank you so much. This was great. Emily, thank you for your persistence.
Oh, no, thank you for
Not
having us.
immediately
That's right.
responsive with email.
It's a busy time of year, yeah.
Things get crazy, and. But I really do appreciate the persistence. Thank you.
Thanks, yeah, it was great to hear you all.
Yeah, thanks for playing. You all sound great. It's great to hear you all.
Well, we'd love to have you guys come back.
We'd love to come back.
Yep.
That's great.
Do you like regularly tour? Is this part of your gig?
This was something we pursued
We
because
pursued
we
and-
wanted to come back
yeah.
to Chicago.
Yeah, we wanted to see our teachers who are retiring and sort of give back to the, just kind of give back.
Another question. Did you, you're all from in Chicago, did you form your trio on your own, or was it something you, fell into?
Just happened to all go to school together.
Yeah.
We wanted to.
We all went to school here, and then we all work together now, so we're like, wouldn't this be fun?
Yeah, we just did this on our own. We weren't told to
Yeah, this wasn't something this wasn't, like an officer told us, you three will be going. we pretty much cultivated the whole project and presented it.
Chamber music is all by choice in our band.
Yes.
Which is also like a pretty nice thing about our units. Like anyone can pretty much just do anything. Like I said, like anyone can put in the solo and do chamber music stuff. It's not like if you're second clarinet in an orchestra, you're never gonna stand in front, probably. Unfortunately, 'cause I've never seen that.
Educational outreach, to expand upon your question, is an important part of what we do as army musicians. If you can put together a group like this, and it is beneficial to the mission of educational outreach, then a lot of times the unit will provide funds for this type of travel. Or if it feeds a need for recruiting purposes to showcase jobs in the military, then you can talk to someone like myself who's involved with recruiting. I'm not a recruiter, who can help support that so that we can get out there and share the message of opportunities.
Well, it's great for us because, as we know, we all just have no money.
Right.
So when people email and say, can I come and do this? I'm like, I'd love to have you, but, getting the chair to give more money to something that's not this idea is really. Well, thanks very much. It was really informative, enjoyable. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
We have some free stuff.
Some souvenirs.
You like flowers? They've got some stickers, pencils, swag.
Okay, we're reading Lydia's piece, so it'll take off.